So the Miami Heat's winning streak came to an end today by my Chicago Bulls, but I'm not here to gloat about that. I'm here to, I guess you could say, nullify a lot of the rumors and cannon fodder you're going to hear from a lot of sack riding fans. The number one thing I want to say is LeBron did not choke. He did not choke. LeBron was one of the key reasons why the Heat stayed in the game. Even in the fourth, he was still doing his part. You can't say LeBron didn't do his part. So for those saying that, just ignore it. Um, D-Wade tweaked his knee in this game. He came in with a history of bad knees, as well as he was coming fresh off another knee injury that he had just suffered. But he said he played because it was a big game. Big time players play big time games and do big time things. D Wade's whole scoring was really limited, not by his injury, but also because he had Jimmy Butler guarding him. Jimmy Butler, who everyone's calling the Kobe stopper this year. Just in general, Chicago beat Miami by taking away what has made Miami's streak so impressive. They cut down the turnovers. That's how Miami's been getting their fast breaks. They cut down turnovers, and when they went for the fast break, Chicago got back and stopped the fast break. And also, they outmuscled Miami. They bullied Miami. Because Miami is so geared towards the fast break versus Chicago and Boston, they're both half court teams. They will stay in the paint and they will bully you, as well as Indiana. Miami's looking for that fast break all the time, so they're a Pop Tart team, soft in the middle. So that's what Chicago did. Those three things are really what did it. You take an injury depleted Chicago team that did not have Derrick Rose because he was still waiting for God's permission to play, even though the doctors cleared him to play. Joey Camnoa, who was injured, hopefully he gets a speedy recovery back to the court. Marco Bellinelli, one of our better shooters, and Rip Hamilton, who's got a bad back and may have to retire at the end of the season. We were down four of our best players. Miami was at full strength, but another thing about a streak is it takes its toll on you. It really does. Winning 27 games back to back. I don't care if you're playing the Charlotte Bobcats back to back. It will take its toll on you. We didn't come into Miami, on their home court and beat them. They were on a road trip when we beat them, as well as you got all the hype that the media put into it. One of the big reasons why so many people were calling for this streak to end, versus if you look at back in the day, the 70s, when I think it was the 1973 Lakers had their streak, was there wasn't all this social media. Every time you turned on Sports Center, you didn't have, Skip Bayless, Stephen A. Smith, and 10 other analysts. Oh my God, the streak, all this, It wasn't all that back in the day, They would mention it and they would go on to other things, Now it's like you couldn't turn on a TV without somebody talking about it, which really made a lot of fans sick. If you were a Miami Heat fan, you were loving it, and if it was my team, I would love it too. But half the league was like, man, we are tired of hearing about this streak, man. Can you cover something else, man? Can you cover the starving kid down the street or something? Oh, we got to talk about the Heat for 10 minutes. We have to analyze who can and who can't beat them, et cetera, et cetera. And then you got, us YouTubers, everyone here want to debate who can beat the Heat, who can't beat the Heat. All that just adds up to the frustration of fans. And it's not the Miami Heat's fault. They're a good team. One reason why I'm not jumping up and down doing jumping jacks because of my Bulls won the game is because we didn't win a championship. It felt good to beat Miami because unless you were a Bulls fan, you were probably calling for Miami to win this one. But Bulls fans, we held on. We had that hope. They are not going to take this easy. And yeah, that's what happened. They got outmuscled. They got bullied, basically. A lot of people want to talk about the two flagrant fouls that occurred. The one that was questionable from Taj Gibson. First off, Taj Gibson did not go up to hurt LeBron James on that play. Watch the replay again. He was trying to block LeBron. Now, when LeBron, threw an arm at Carlos Boozer, trying to send a message to him, whatever, that's a flagrant, intent, Gibson didn't have the intent. He wasn't trying to hurt the guy. He was just trying to block a shot. It was just the angle of the camera, really. And then he even went back to help the guy up. So I'm not gonna say that weren't any questioning calls on both sides, but Miami fans are the one franchise that should never, and I mean never, say anything about a referee. I am not even gonna go into that. Miami Heat fans should never ever complain about officiating or a referee call ever, especially this season or last season, or especially the season before that, because these last 3 years have been some questionable calls towards Miami. Or go back to 2006. You know, all in all, the Miami Heat team, back to continuing the streak, they looked exhausted. They really did. They lost their hustle guy early in the game. Udonis Haslem to foul trouble. The guy who does the dirty work, the guy who's out there hustling, getting the ball for him. He was out due to foul trouble for most of the game. So that took a lot away from him. All in all, it was a great game. You know, Kirk Heinrich was just great on the pick and roll. Even with his reduced minutes, led the team. The whole time watching it, I did have this, unique feeling. I'm like, if the Heat go up too high, Rose is gonna come out and we're gonna win. You know, it just felt like no matter what the hell happened today, we were gonna win this game. That's how I felt as a Bulls fan watching this. I'm like, we don't need Rose to do it. We beat them without Rose. All last season, we were owning them without Rose, given we had Kirk Heinrich, not Kirk Heinrich, Cal Korver. We had Cal Korver, C.J. Watson. We had all those weapons on our team back, last year. But it just somehow, as a fan of a true fan of your team, you do give teams where credit is due. But you don't just lay down and let some team fuck your team. You know what I'm saying? You don't do that. Chicago fans don't do that. They sat in that arena and they chanted "in the streak" the entire game. Well, no, they didn't. I take that away. We didn't chant the entire game. Don't quote me on that. But we did chant it in the fourth quarter. You know, we were still biting our nails in this game because the Miami Heat talent it's pretty overwhelming. You can't deny the talent on that team. Long story short, I am happy that it was my Chicago Bulls that ended this streak. LA Laker fans, you owe us. You owe us big time for this. And Kobe Bryant jacked up his wrist last season and shot his arm up full of Motrin and played. D Wade is out there with jacked up knees playing. Derrick Rose, when you gonna play, man? When you gonna play? I wasn't gonna say nothing if D Wade set the game out, but D Rose, when you gonna play, man? You know, if you're not gonna play this season, just tell us you're not gonna play. Don't even show up, man. Just go to the Bahamas or some shit, but don't lead us on, man. That's all I got. Chicago Bulls, so proud to be a fan. You guys really rep the city, that hard work and grind it out attitude that almost every Chicagoan I've ever met in my life seems to have, except the crackheads on the red line. You know, y'all, you really rep the city and represented us well in this game. Now, I'm not saying we're going to beat the Heat in a 7-game series, but it felt good to win this one. It felt good to be a fan of the team that ended this streak, that ended this propaganda that ESPN continues to spout. Thank you, Jimmy Butler. Thank you, Kirk Heinrich. Thank you, Carlos Boozer. No one should ever hate on Carlos Boozer after this game. Thank you, Daquan Cook. Nate Robinson, Taj Gibson, Nazi Muhammad. And, damn, I know I'm forgetting someone. We signed someone out every 10 days or something to the team. Anyone who I just happen to forget because I'm just so excited right now. Thank you for ending this streak.